video is about section 3 of the Daughter of Dragons scarf. I'm going to be demonstrating it with very thick yarn and a large hook, just so that you can see the stitch definition. Normally you would make this with fingering weight or lace weight yarn, which gives it the beautiful and elegant drape and hang. But for the camera, that yarn is so thin that you can't see the stitches well on it. So we're going to use this thicker yarn. Now we're going to start section 3. We've just finished sections 1 and 2. If you're beading, you'll do exactly what you did in section 2. You'll chain 2, slide the bead as close to the hook as you can, and keeping your tension tight, chain 2, and then slip stitch into the first chain, and that will anchor the bead. If you're not beading, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to turn, and you're going to slip stitch into that very first chain that you just did, not the first stitch of the row, but that first chain you just did. And that again gives you this neat little picot or jagged edge, which helps form the dragon fin. Again, you're going to slip stitch 8 stitches, but you're going to alternate between slipping in the chain space and in the loops of the next stitch. So you're going to do 8, slips starting with that first chain space. So 1, and then in the stitch 2, the third one is in a space, the fourth one is in the loops of the stitch, the fifth one is in the space, the 6th is in the loops of the stitch, the 7th is in the space, and the 8th is in the loops of the stitch. So you've just done 8 slip stitches. And that again gives you your decrease for this row and the fin, which helps push the design into the vortex shape. Once you've done your 8 slip stitches, you're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, and we're back into the half double crochet section. So you're going to then half double crochet in each chain space and stitch until you reach the second chain space from the edge. So it's a half double crochet into the space, half double crochet into the stitch, and you do that repeating until you are at the second chain space from the end. Again, this is where you might want to use stitch markers. So that's the first chain space from the end. That's the second chain space from the end. So we're just going to half double crochet in every chain space and stitch until we reach that second one from the end. And then you're going to do a half double crochet increase in that second chain space. So half double crochet and then a second half double crochet in the same space. And then half double crochet in the stitch and half double crochet in the next chain space. And that's the end of row 1 of section 3. You're going to chain 1. Again, it doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to half double crochet in the very first stitch of the row, and then you're going to do half double crochet increases in the next 2 stitches. So 2 half double crochets in the second stitch and 2 half double crochet increases in the third stitch. So this is the start of row 2 of section 3, is chain 1 and turn, half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet increase in the next stitch, half double crochet increase in the third stitch. And then you're going to half double crochet in each stitch to the end. Oh, okay, so this is where it gets important now. What you don't want to do is work over those slip stitches. And this right here was the turning chain, which doesn't count as a stitch. So that's where you're going to end. So you've finished row 2. You're going to chain 1, and again, that doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to turn, and you're going to half double crochet all along here until you get to, oops, the 3rd stitch from the end. So look ahead, because now it's starting to really curve. So that's the turning chain. So there's your 1st stitch, 2nd stitch, 3rd stitch. So remember, your turning chain doesn't count. So 1st stitch, 2nd stitch, 3rd stitch. That's where you're going to do your increase. So you might want to put a little stitch marker in there. But until that point, you just half double crochet in each stitch. Short, so 1, 2, 3, so 1 more. And then you do your half double crochet increase. So 2 half double crochets in the same stitch on the 3rd stitch from the end. And then half double crochet in the last 2 stitches. This is where sometimes your turning chain can get caught and confuse you. So make sure you're in the stitch and you're not counting that turning chain. Remember, in this section, the turning chains don't count. And you finished your 3rd row of section 8. And you just keep repeating them until you've done your 8 rows. And there you have the 8 rows of section 3 finished. And if you turn it over to the right side, you can see the difference between section 2 and 3. Section 1 is never repeated. You then repeat sections 2 and 3 until the scarf is the length that you want. I usually find 17 or 19 sections is good. You always want to end on an odd number so that you always end with the stiffer portion rather than the lacier portion. The only thing you have to do from here is after you've completed 6 sections or 6 fins, on the 7th one, you have to increase the number of slip stitches by 4. So you do 8 slip stitches for sections 1 to 6. You do 12 slip stitches for sections 7 to 12. You do 16 slip stitches for sections 13 to 19. If my math is right, it's written on the pattern. So on every 6 sections, you do the same amount of slip stitches. And then at the start of the 7th section, you add 4 more slip stitches to give it that curve. And you're done.